what's really interesting is like, that gives you a level of self-belief and a level of conviction and a level of, oh, I'm going to fucking do this no matter what. The very other few things will, because I backed myself in that moment. It scared the absolute shit out of me.
Sell the metal. Sell the metal. Sell the metal. Sell the metal. Sell the metal.
I'm a bit pissed off because we might even lose some people who are really dear and close to us because of this podcast episode, because maybe it'll strike a chord in them, and I fear that. But I also know that there's a message in this that if I don't share this, then I'm doing the wrong fucking thing. Kyle just called me before and was asking about a prospect who essentially has had like no clients in the past, like a couple of trial clients, if that makes sense, who's been struggling back and forth for like the last year and a half, whose wife is supported for that period of time, and given the privilege of belief in him, and given the privilege of, here is your opportunity to make it work, and give him the opportunity of creating something like he said he would for the family in some way, shape, and form. And after, as far as I know, after over a year or whatever it is, or 2 years or whatever it's been, nothing's eventuated, right? And essentially, dude was like, well, I've been told that I need to make this work, or I need to get a job. I don't know if it was a job or not, or like I have to kill the idea of the business in the first place. That alone means that, you know, there's a story around that, and wifey said she might even leave me if I don't get the shit together, if that makes sense, right? Now, fucking hate that I have to say all this stuff too, but it's just like, it's a part of my story as well, right? Back in 2020, I was with an ex-girlfriend who challenged me very deeply spiritually in a very specific period of my life, right? And the situation was that I had a coaching offer that wasn't doing so well. Prior to this, I'd had a coaching offer that did really well, but I had ended up in a position where I was one of those fuckwits that sold and didn't have a great delivery system, and I had to essentially close a program down. So I'd lost a lot of self-belief, and as a consequence of that, when I went into launching the new offer, I essentially went through the process of unbelievable deep guilt and shame around the fact that I'm going to try and do this again, and I've been so scared because I've failed before, and I was tiptoeing. And what's really interesting, right, is like, I'm an organic guy, I'm this, I'm that. I was essentially trying to put together a program for people who were wanting to learn cold email. I have done both sides. I have been in heaven and hell when it comes to marketing, right? Like, I nailed cold email and then decided I never wanted to do it again as a consequence of like, just, I'd rather people know who I am and know what I do before getting on a call, right? But, fuck. So angry with this story, but it's a part of who I am. And the situation is that ex-girlfriend was essentially saying to me like, yo man, like, who the fuck do you think you are, right? Like, you have no fucking money. You are in a position where you are meant to be like the man here, and you're meant to be providing, and I'm giving you a place to stay because I was living in her fucking place. And I am starting to get really fucking sick of this. And you need to get a fucking job. And I resisted this shit for fucking ages, right? I resisted. And I just wouldn't fucking do it. Because I was so deep down and so like unbelievably deep down scared that if I did get a job, that I would lose the part of myself that believed in myself. And I would, as a consequence of that, feel like I was dying. My ego death was fucking flaring up at that point. And I was just unwilling to do the thing that would actually make viable fucking sense to the relationship that I was in, to the person that I was actually meant to be, i.e. the man, the provider, the protector, the person who can be counted on, if that makes sense, right? And I was acting as a little fucking boy, right? All because I was scared that my toys would get taken away from me if I didn't actually continue the journey that I wanted to be on, or whatever it is, right? And I was fucking livid, right? Like, I had so much bitterness towards her. But the reason wasn't because of her. I had so much bitterness towards myself. And the reason why I had an unbelievably deep amount of bitterness towards myself was that I was so fucking scared that one, it wasn't going to work out, and two, that I couldn't handle it, and three, that I was so scared of myself that I was unwilling to back myself deeply enough that I would be able to like dig myself out of this hole, if that makes sense, right? And man, like this shit fucked me up for like quite a fair while, and like it was such an internal struggle inside the actual conversations we're having, you know, the metaphorical dinner table every night. There was this like energy in the house where it was like, I love you and forgive you and I want to trust you, but you aren't showing up in the way that one, that I know you can, and two, that I know deep down that you are, and three, you aren't showing up as who the fuck you should be, right? And I hated myself so much at this point in time, because like I was just so unwilling to do the very obvious thing that needed to be done. And the rationale as to why it needed to be done is because like what I was doing was not working. It was causing too much friction in the place that was meant to be safest, if that makes sense. And I was so scared that if I were to get the job, that I would end up losing everything, and then I would be a shell of myself, if that makes sense, right? And I ended up like, I admitted defeat badly. It felt so demeaning, and I felt like such a piece of shit, right? What's really interesting though is that I ended up getting a job. I got a job as a closer on a NLP coaching offer based in the northern beaches, or no, not beaches, just like northern suburbs of Sydney and Mossman, right? They essentially sold like hypnotherapy courses and NLP courses, and they work with some real greats too at the same time as well. So that was actually a pretty cool experience. But I took the role, and I fucking hated showing up to it every single day. With every fiber of my soul, I hated showing up to it every single day, because I knew deep down that it was like, this isn't what I was meant to be doing, if that makes sense, right? And what's really interesting is like I did that, and then I fucking now I'm angry for other reasons as to why I'm doing this too, because this is gonna wake something up in so many fucking people, and it just makes me angry. Because like as a consequence, it's gonna affect me, but that's okay, right? This is truth. This is real. This is what's gonna happen at the same time as well. I just have to deal with it and handle it, and continue to fight the good fight at the same time as well. The thing is, I did it, and then every single day I would go to a coffee shop before I ended up going to that place every single morning, the offer that I was working on, and I would be like continually building up this course that I was doing, continually doing all this stuff. Like I got the role, I got the job, and I had an income, if that makes sense. And what's interesting is it actually gave me more leverage to be able to actually create the course and the program and everything else that I wanted at the same time too. It gave me time, right? What it brought me was time. It didn't actually put me in a position where I lost all the ideas and I lost everything that I thought that I would lose, or whatever it is, right? I didn't lose myself. There was a huge ego death that came along with it, a like monumental ego death that came along with it, but it actually bought me time, right? And what's really interesting is like time is undefeated. What I mean by time is undefeated, and when I say that, fucking language, is that sometimes what you need to buy is time, right? Because one, it's either just not your time yet, or two, you didn't have your fucking foundations well built enough for you to be able to buy the time that you needed, or go through the time under tension and doing the actual things that were important enough. And as a consequence of that, almost every single day that you were doing the work or whatever it is, you know, doing reach out to whatever it is, even when you are looking to actually start not start the business, but like continue the business that you're growing, whatever it is, right? Like there's this essence where like, if this doesn't work out, I'm fucked. And some people can't handle that and use that as fuel, right? I can now because of the self-belief built up over time and all to this stuff as well, but I couldn't for a really long fucking time. And what's really interesting is that like, it hurt, right? It hurt a lot, but it bought me time. And I should be really thankful to the ex for this. And like, it was a terrible relationship. It was toxic as fuck. But the thing is, like, it was totally okay that I did that. And I'm actually eternally grateful for the fact that it happened at the same time as well, because it just so happens that I ended up getting fired. I ended up getting fired from the offer, not from anything in particular. That's when COVID happened, right? But I had a little bit of cash, which is kind of cool. And it bought me time. And I got fired from the offer because like it had nothing to do, again, with the performance or whatever it is. It was like 100% to do with like COVID destroyed a lot of their business, if that makes sense, because they had like in-person events. They They hadn't gone into online quick enough yet or whatever it is at the same time as well. So fuck things up. I'm like, what happens, right? Like they didn't make good decisions. But it bought me time and it gave me cash flow, if that makes sense, right? And it gave me the ability to keep working on the thing that I knew that I needed to do. And what's really funny is like that eventually ended up turning into predictable sales, right? It eventually ended up turning into predictable sales as the offer that we have right now, because I was able to build on it and build on it and build on it and build on it and build on it. And like when I had that cash during COVID, I'm like, oh, it's go time, right? It's go time. I had the cash and then I bought into a mentor that helped me out. Shout out to the mentor that did a lot for me in that time, like Dan Bolton, right? And he's still a great friend right now. And what's like really interesting about that too is like I had worked with multiple mentors prior to that. And it wasn't that he did anything, but it's that I was ready to fully actually go into it and fully give myself to the process. Because one thing happened, I bought myself time, but two, I had unlocked a self-belief, I'm going to back myself story, so much so that I now knew that if everything went wrong, that I'd just go and get a job and rebuild again if need be, if that makes sense. What's really interesting is like that gives you a level of self-belief and a level of conviction and a level of, oh, I'm going to fucking do this no matter what. The very other few things will, because I backed myself in that moment. It scared the absolute shit out of me. It destroyed the ego, right? But I needed to essentially make a decision. I wish that nothing changed, but I wish there were parts of me that had learned to back myself earlier on, right? There was a huge part of me that just didn't believe. And like, there's still parts of me now that like, you notice little areas of like lacking trust, and sometimes like impactful things need to happen in order for you to start trusting yourself at the same time as well. But fuck, man, learn through my stories. So much fucking better than having to do this shit yourself, right? Like, fuck, like I did that. And there was another period of time where I drove Uber, right? I was like, man, I just need cash flow, right? Drive Uber, go through the process of finding out like what it is that really needs to be in place foundationally for me to scale and offer at some point in time at the same time too, right? And like, this is a huge part of my story. And the reason why I'm sharing this, like, and again, it's going to, like, there's going to be a ripple effect of what happens to this. And I can already tell what it is, and it's going to piss me the fuck off, but it's complete truth. And I'm bringing the best out of people, and it's going to fucking happen for the greater good. I'm doing God's work right now. And it's making me furious, but it's okay. I can deal with the consequences at the same time as well. You need to build the foundations of you, and you need to build the foundations of your self-belief. And you need to do that through backing yourself in whatever way is necessary in the season that you're in at that point in time in life, right? Like, if you're broke as fuck and wifey's saying, where the fuck are we going to get food from, or whatever it is, right? Like, bruh, like, get a job, grow the fuck up, be a man, right? But build your thing and then let that become the thing, if that makes sense, right? Like, that is okay, and you can do that. That is not a bad thing. It shows up in other areas and all this stuff too, but that's like the biggest story I have to share on this right now at the same time as well, right? Like, as a consequence of you not doing that, you're going to lose everything, right? You will lose fucking everything, right? Everything. The wife, the kids, the this, the that, right? Like, they may trust and love, but there's a point where there is a point of no return that they will not allow that to happen anymore. And I've seen it happen so many fucking times. But if someone can build that self-belief, not self-belief, but like willingness to back themselves and have that time and the runway, I don't give a fuck who you are. I can draw greatness out of you and create the version of you that can do what, essentially what we've done right now. Help you build the team, help you create the impact that you want, help you make the money that you want or whatever the fuck it is. But you need to have the time and the runway, right? Now, if you're unskilled, like, you need time and runway to learn the skills. If you're highly skilled and it's a self-belief thing, then you need a little bit of time and runway for you to stack the actual wins up at the same time as well, right? So there's some things that you can look at and do that might be a huge contributing factor to the help cycle. And when I say help cycle, it's like the cycle of helping your fucking self. Because, dude, most of you are like sabotaging like fucking crazy. And for those of you that get through this period of time, right? Let's rock, right? Like, let's rock. Let's grow the fuck out of what it is that you're doing. Even for people who are like at a stage where they're already doing well, right? Like, you guys need to commit deeper to the relationships that you're in and all the stuff. And like, whether it's a relationship to yourself, to back yourself, whatever it is, that might mean you need to like join a coaching program right now and have someone fucking scare the shit out of you in some way, shape, and form. Or it may mean that you need to get a job, whatever it is, right? Like there's multiple solutions and pathways, if that makes sense, right? But like, the thing is, you need to ask yourself, like, what makes sense right now for this season? We have team that, like, I would love for them, and I try to build development pathways and an opportunity for them to actually work with us for a really long fucking time and build and help people. And I do my best to actually help them through this stuff and help them become the version they want and help them make the money that they could have even if they were running their own business at the same time too, and build a team under themselves and everything else as well. But I also know at some point in time, people are going to want to actually go and do their own thing. And that's a thing that has to be accepted by me at the same time too. But I'm doing the right fucking thing by people by doing it. And anyway, right, like the point of the story is like grow the fuck up, right? Like whether you're already doing well and you need to recommit to everything and like look at all the people around you who you aren't showing up for in some way, shape, and form and say, yo, I've got you, you've got this. I'm going to make sure that we financially are in the best position and the P&L looks great. And wifey, I promise you, like we're moving the right direction. I can lead, I can do this. I can take us to where we said that we were going to go in the first place. Or if you're broken, unskilled, bro, get a fucking job and learn the skills. Like that is the thing that you need to do, right? Again, like it's a topic I needed to talk about because it's a part of my story and it's a real deep part that I think that needs to be spoken to because I think a lot of people are making decisions that are actually just making things worse for themselves on a fucking daily basis. And I fucking hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my soul because like you are shitting on who you could be. And I fucking hate when people do that, right? Sometimes you have to take a step back to go forward, or sometimes you have to like let the ego disappear and the dissolution of ego for you to be able to do that at the same time as well. And there will be ramifications and consequences for everyone involved, but grow the fuck up and deal with it and do something about it at the same time too. You, your future self, and everyone else around you, thank you for it. And if you're already doing well, what I've found is like the cycle repeats itself because you get so married to doing the thing that you start neglecting the other people around you at the same time too. And what you need to do is like you need to start looking at people who are consequentially not getting what they want out of life because you're married to the job, if that makes sense, right? You also need to look at it as like, maybe you need to work with someone to help you systemize things so that you can spend more time with your family and you can put the deep work in to be able to be the person who can show up as the person who is a protective provider and actually have the conversation at the dinner table where people are like, with your family and your closest connections that you really care about, that you want to provide for and protect, can all sit there and say, this guy has my back. Right? It happens again. The more things change, the more they stay the same, right? Like even for people who are doing really fucking well, this cycle repeats because I've experienced it. It fucking sucks. And the good news is I know how to get out of it, if that makes sense, right? Like the ingredients are different. It's a different flavored cake, but it's still a cake that looks the exact same as the last one, if that makes sense, right? It's not chocolate. This one's just a fucking caramel cake. And it's like they taste a little bit different, but it's the same fucking product, if that makes sense, right? And it's a product of the same thing. It's a lack of conscious discovery of the point of view and keeping an eye out for the signs of wifey being disappointed or whatever it is, if that makes sense, right? And it's just like, oh, I should be better here. Anyway, this was a lot. It's going to piss some people off. It's going to have ramifications towards me. It's going to have ramifications towards other people, and it's okay at the same time as well. I can handle it. You can handle it. The whole idea here is to become a better version of yourself and, you know, fix the conversation at the dinner table for everyone around. They are relying on you in some way, shape, and form, right? For you to protect, to provide, to serve, to be, to teach, to do. We're all going to grow the fuck up and act like the man that you said that you would be. And sometimes it takes a little bit of ego dissolution to do so at the same time as well. So fuck anyone who says, who judges you, or fuck any of the voices inside you that are stopping you from doing it because of the judgment, or like fuck your own self-judgment. Fuck, it's like a devilish thing inside you, right? Like there's always a heaven and hell, there's always a God, there's always a devil, right? Like the devil inside you is like, it's loud, when the God inside you is like, you got this, right? But you need to do the things and you need to do the hard things at the same time too. So listen to the God, not the devil. Go fuck the devil and respect yourself, respect the people around you. Never settle. Doing it the wrong way is settling in a really big time, in a really big way, and you got this. If you think we can help and you think we can give you the formula to, you know, once you have the time and the ability to do so, to actually help you put yourself in a position where you systemize so you can actually be the provider, be the protector, and show up in the best way possible for your actual family and get to enjoy life and provide great jobs to people to help them become the best versions of themselves and fight great missions for yourself like we are doing as a team right now at the same time too. And I fucking love it. But there's always going to be an endpoint for something at the same time too. So it's like, get the most out of everything you can right now so you can provide for the people that fucking matter. And respect yourself, respect the people around you. Never settle for second fucking best. I'm rooting for you. I'm here for you. But grow the fuck up and be the man that you said that you were going to be. All right? Respect. Let's go.